Hey everybody, today's January 22nd, 2024, and today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin and where I see it headed for the month of February. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer. You can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. I know I'm kind of late because it's like January 22nd, but I hope everyone had a great, happy New Year and a great holiday with your friends and family. Where we left off last time, Bitcoin basically went sideways and after hitting just below 45,000, and I said in a previous post that 45,000 was a strong resistance level, right? So this is December 13th, and I said that Bitcoin continues a strong rally but faces resistance of 45,000, and so far we've seen that resistance play out, right? This is from January 15th. Bitcoin continues to face resistance above 45,000, right? We had a strong rejection. So basically what happened was the major news of this month, for the month of January, is that we finally got the spot Bitcoin ETF approval. So the SEC basically approved a bunch of spot Bitcoin ETFs, and so that led to a huge run up, but it ended up being a sell the news event, as many people predicted. And so now we're coming down to fade, but we're at a very critical level right now, because this level where we are right now, around 40,000, has been support over the last month. So we really want to hold this level, right? Especially since we had the spot ETF approval, right? This whole run-up has been anticipation that the spot Bitcoin ETFs would be approved, and finally we're approved. So we definitely don't want to give up all the gains that we had, because that would be really bad, right? But at the same time, on the weekly chart, we're just coming down from being overbought, right? I mean, so it's not like usually when Bitcoin becomes this overbought, we do see several months of either sideways or just coming down and testing previous support levels, right? And if we look at the monthly chart, let's get a cleaner chart. Let's get the log off. You're starting to see that this monthly pattern is looking like a shooting star candle, which is bearish, right? If this ends up closing like this, then usually if we could just look at the previous, every time we have something like a shooting star pattern, it tends to continue. Let's see, like down here, right? This is the peak of the last cycle. It tends to continue down. So we definitely want to see the bulls put in more work to push the price up into the close of the month, which is going to be in a couple weeks. Let me just go back to the regular chart. Yeah, so but for now, the good news is that the spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved. So that, in theory, should allow more institutions to buy Bitcoin. The more money should be coming in, because they have to buy Bitcoin to fund the ETFs, right? But there's also sort of a problem going on now with Grayscale, because a lot of Grayscale is still has the highest fees, right? I think it's like 1.5%. They did lower their fee, but it's still the highest. So, but they're also the biggest ETF, spot Bitcoin ETFs. So a lot of people, what they're doing is they're selling, and Grayscale is forced to sell, and they're moving to ETFs that have lower expense ratio or management fees, right? And so because Grayscale is forced to sell, that's also putting downward pressure, right? But we hope that the people selling are reallocating to different spot Bitcoin ETFs. So this should, when that selling pressure is finished, it should stabilize, right? Or at least that's the hope, right? But right now, 40,000 on a technical scale is very, very critical, because like I said, we've held these levels. We've had some wick downs that have held, but right now we're coming down and just testing it right now. So it's very important that we hold 40,000. And of course, another thing is this Fibonacci level, right? I've said multiple times, Bitcoin Fibonacci levels are very important. And you can see here that these Fibonacci support and resistance levels tend to hold in previous cycles, right? For example, in our previous cycle, 2021, 30,000 was a strong Fibonacci level, this blue line here, right? And we held the first two times, it came down, but then we broke below and we just plunged like 50%, right? Down to 15,000 over here. Then we held this Fibonacci level, and then so you see how it tends to when it hits these certain Fibonacci support level, it tends to try to hold it, and then when it fails, it just breaks down to the next level. So this one, it broke down to this level, but it held this one. Then it came down, retested over here during the original bank crisis in March of last year. Then it came up to here, hit this 30,000 resistance level, which of course was very strong because we had previous support which was broken in May of 2022, right? So it took a while for us from April to October of 2023 to break through 30,000. And once we did, we had this epic rally higher, but then we got stopped on the next Fibonacci level, which is around 45 to 50,000, right? And that's where we are now, right? This level, remember, we came up here and we failed to break through, and then it just led to a huge plunge, right? So of course, it's not it's not like surprising that we're having some resistance or around this Fibonacci resistance level, right? So I do predict that at the very best scenario, I think we're gonna just continue sideways, sort of like here, right? Probably move sideways before we finally find enough momentum from the bulls to break up higher. Worst case scenario, we are coming down from being overbought, as you can see from the RSI, so we might come down a little bit, hold this level. I want to at least hold like in the mid 35 to 38,000 if we have to come down that low, and then come down and try to retest this before breaking through, right? And this lines up with my theory that this cycle is very similar to the 2015 to 2017 cycle, which is unlike our previous cycle, which was our 2019 to 2021 cycle, which kind of had like a sprint. So our last cycle, we kind of went sideways and sprint again. This one was more of a slower one. We kind of went impulse move sideways, and it became more and more parabolic, right? So that's what I think we're going to see for this cycle. I think we're going to see impulse move sideways, and then slowly more and more parabolic into, if we do follow the 4-year cycle, it should be the top in late 2025, right? And this is something I talked about in this thread, this Twitter thread that goes all the way back to July of last year, right? I said that Bitcoin price action now resembles 2016 to 2017 bull market, slow and steady. Will history repeat? And I drew this white rectangle to show that I think we're starting to see similar price action that we saw from this 2016 to 2017, 2015, 2016, sorry, 2017 cycle compared to the 2019, 2021 cycle. And you can follow this thread on x.com. And my handle is EddieLux _. So please follow me if you haven't yet. And also I tweet a chart once a month, and also a video. I make a YouTube video once a month as well. So but for now, we're still facing major resistance about. Sorry, let me get back to. Still facing resistance around 45,000 and 50,000 level, which is basically where this Fibonacci resistance level is, right? So we broke through the 50-day moving average, which is the silver line, but now we're coming down to this yellow gold line, which is the 100-day moving average. So this is going to be the next level if we do break 40,000. But of course, we want to hold 40,000 because that is a very important support level, right? So let's look at some other data, right? Crypto fear and greed is technically in the greed area, but since we had this pullback, the fear and greed has come down significantly. We were in the greed zone, the green zone, for a while, but it seems like the oscillators are starting to reset a bit, which is great because now we have more room to the upside, right? If we are to reverse this and continue up higher. Let's look at some other indicators. This is the 2-year multiplier, right? 2-year multiplier, and this is really great because it's very simple and easy to look at, right? To use. Because basically what it says is the best time to buy Bitcoin is when it's below the green line, and when the best time to sell Bitcoin is when it's getting close to or above this orange line, right, or red line. And right now we're in the sort of like middle zone, so we just kind of poked our head. You can see like in previous cycles, you can see that when we poke our head above, we tend to come back down to retest at least once in a while, which we haven't really done in this cycle, right? This cycle we came down, this was 2012, we came down and retested the green line, and we went up higher when we held. Here we came down here in 2015, retested, and it went up higher. Here we came down, 2019 came down, retest. So does that mean we're going to come down and retest? Not necessarily, but if we follow the last 3 cycles, all of them came down and retested the green line. So as you can see, it's pretty far down, right? This is this green line is like at 28,000. So if we just go straight down, which I don't think is going to happen, but it could be like a small, like I said, if we do what I believe is going to happen, which we go sideways after this impulse move up, it could take that green line, will probably move up higher, and it'll probably meet them in like the 30,000 range. So if we do follow the last couple cycles and it does come down and touch the green line before going up higher, which is what I think could probably happen, it'll probably be around the 30,000 range. So again, if we fail to hold 40,000, that is another possibility that we can come down to the 30,000 range and meet that green line before going up higher, right? 5-cycle indicator is a great indicator to tell you when to sell, when the top is. It's pretty much called the top in all previous cycles, right? But it's also a great indicator to give you an idea of where we are in the bull market, right? After coming out the bear market. So when the price of Bitcoin goes below this orange line, it basically tells you that we're in a bear market. When recovers above the orange line and holds above the orange line, right? See how we come down recently last year? We tested the orange line, but we held and we went up higher. And that's the same thing with the previous cycles, right? So that gives you, that basically tells us that the probability that we're in a bull market is a lot higher than we're in a bear market, right? At the same time, it gives you a good idea of where like potential resistance levels are, right? If you look at the previous cycle in 2016, 2017, when we went above the orange line, we still faced resistance around the green line, right? So over here was June 2016, right? We hit that green line and we came down to retest the orange line. Same thing in 2019, we hit the green line and we came down to retest the orange line. So it's possible we might come down. We haven't hit the green line yet, but we could. It's possible we can hit that green line and come down and retest that orange line. We've already retested the orange line a couple of times, but still, there is possibly still some room to move up. But like I said, if the price does go sideways, we'll probably see the green line come down a little bit, and it'll make the green line price target. The price will be a lot lower. So we might see that over the next couple of months, we might see the price touch the green line and then come down and retest the orange line, just like we saw in the previous cycle. But for now, this price action looks very similar to a bullish trend that we've seen in the past 2 cycles. So everything's looking good for a bull market. We look at the golden ratio multiplier, right? Golden ratio multiplier. You can see that the level we're at right now is we're just below the green line, and whenever we hit the green line in the past cycle, we tend to come down, right? Basically, every line is like a new resistance level that we kind of hit, and we tend to come down and retest the previous level, and if we can hold that level, then we'll tend to move up and retest the next level. So again, this looks very similar to the bullish price action for the previous 2 cycles. So again, looking good. Bitcoin Cycle Master, again, looking good, right? We hit the purple line resistance comes down, purple line resistance come down, hold, purple line resistance comes down, holds, and then once we break above, and we tend to move up and test the next resistance level, which is the orange line, right? But these things take time, right? Look how long it took for us to hold this, to break above this purple line in 2016, right? It took us basically half a year. And like I said, I do think this cycle resembles 2016 more than the 2019, 2021 cycle. So if we do follow something similar to that, right? We already we came up, hit the blue line. So we just like the 2015, 2017 cycle, we came bottom on the green line, hit the blue line, consolidated, and then made an impulse move higher to the purple line, right? And then took us some time, half a year, to break above the purple line. Same thing here. Hit the green line, hit the blue line, went up to test the blue line resistance, consolidated for a couple months, and then made an impulse move up higher to purple, right? And just like purple, we're probably going to stay up here for a while before pushing up higher. And look at the rainbow chart, very similar as well, right? We came down to the blue line, held that. Now we're up to the, now we're going into the so like a light green line. I don't know what color this is, but it's basically the basic point is it's very similar to the 2015 cycle, where we came down, hit the blue line, and went up to the next level, and it just take our time to break through each resistance level. But it just looks very similar, right? I mean, this price action looks very similar to this one. So if we just follow that one, we might get it might imply that we might get a parabolic run for the next cycle, right? But as long as we hold these resistance levels, this support level, it looks like we're having a similar move as we saw in the 2015 to 2017 bull market, right? So the last thing we're going to look at is the price forecast tool, which compiles a bunch of different things like top cap, delta cap, balance price, terminal price, and this gives us an idea of where the top and bottoms are based on different top and bottom indicators, right? And you can see this has a history of doing a pretty good job of predicting where the top and bottom is, right? So right now we're somewhere in the middle, and this sort of price action looks very similar to what we saw, in the middle of 2016, the middle of 2019, and 2020, and yeah. So and again, these things also follow similar 4-year cycle, right? 2016 is similar to 2020 and similar to 2024. It all separated by 4 years, right? And all of those years, the next year, 2017, 2021, and perhaps next year, 2025, would be the year where we go parabolic and go to the next market cycle top, right? Which will probably hit above these lines. And of course, as we continue to move sideways and take our time to move up higher, like we saw over here, these lines, the market top indicator lines, will continue to move higher, giving us an ultimate higher apex or higher predicted top than what we're seeing right now, which is around the over 100,000 range, right? It could be a lot higher. Like you see how it kind of coils up. Yeah, so basically all of these indicators that we just went through, basically everything points to Bitcoin being in a bullish trend, right? And that's basically what I believe is happening in the longer term, is that we are probably just in this sort of consolidation consolidation part of the bull trend, right? After we had an impulse move higher, we've consolidated, and then now we're having an impulse move higher, and we might consolidate for a while before going higher, right? And another thing to look at is the stock market, right? The stock market CPI data just went up. We were sort of in a downtrend after like bouncing up last summer, but of course the CPI data went up a little more than expected. So now that the stock market is Wall Street is predicting that we might probably not get rate cuts for the next meeting, which is something that we were really looking forward to. And that was a big reason why the stock market had this nice recovery from October low last year, right? But we had to wait until February 13th, which is the next CPI data report. What we want to see is CPI inflation data cool to come down, right? Because that's going to increase the probability that the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates, and that's going to give more tailwinds, more buying pressure to push the price higher, right? For the stock market and the crypto markets, right? Because remember, Bitcoin is a risk-on asset. It's treated like almost like a tech stock. It moves almost like with the Nasdaq, right? So anyways, just to summarize, I do think overall we're in a bullish trend. Like I said, I think we're in a trend that is similar to the 2015, 16 to 17 cycle, right? Where we have impulse moves higher, and then we take our time instead of sprinting like the 2019 to 2021 cycle, right? And so we're in that sort of like consolidation period, right? We had an impulse move higher, and we're probably going to consolidate. I think 45,000 is going to continue to be strong resistance, but once we break that above 45,000 and this Fibonacci level, which could take several weeks or maybe a couple months, right? I think that the next target is going to be definitely this next Fibonacci level, which is basically the all-time high, right? So again, it could take some time before breaking up higher to the next all-time high around 65,000 to 69,000. But once we get there, it'll be very exciting, and that could happen near the end of the year. I don't know, it could take some time. But of course, what we need to look for is we need to look for the CPI data next week. Sorry, next month, February 13th. And yes, but in the meantime, what I want to see in the short term is us defend 40,000. That's very important that we defend 40,000, because we already spent all this time in anticipation of the spot Bitcoin ETFs to move for the market to move higher. And if we lose 40,000, we basically just wiped off all of that. So definitely want to see Bitcoin hold 40,000, and from there we could start to build a base, consolidate, absorb the selling pressure, and potentially retest 45,000, this Fibonacci level, and then push up higher to try to attack the all-time highs, right? So anyways, that's what I'm looking for Bitcoin for the month of for the remainder of January and the month of February. Is to at least hold 45,000, build consolidation, build a base of consolidation, and push up higher. And I'll definitely come back next month for the month of February to tell you what my March prediction is, and we'll definitely update you based on what the CPI data is for next week, and what the next week. I keep saying next month, and we'll see what the Federal Reserve may do in terms of interest rates, and yeah, we'll update you on the price action going forward. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, or informative, please leave a comment below. Subscribe for updates. Appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.